Good morning. Welcome to Gruber Power Services Power Hour. My name is Claude Dixon.
You look like Coach Prime.
No.
More than Claude Dixon today. And I'm Elvis Venter.
Yeah. Welcome to the show. And want to send a shout out to our YouTube subscribers, Instagram, TikTok, everybody that's on right now and watching and has supported us through the first 35 podcasts. We welcome you to the show. Look at our background here. I'm sure you're gonna find some notables on there. We actually have used these over the course of 1 or 2 months with our workforce. These are some of the things that we send out on an infrequent basis, just to kind of like stimulate the mind and get people to think and adopt to the culture that we're trying to put into place here.
I thought you were just trying to spam our emails.
Yeah, exactly. That one right there in the middle is really cool, though. A smooth sea never made a skilled sailor. I think that's pretty amazing.
That's a great.
So what do we got coming up here with guests, Elvis?
Ooh, we have some guests coming through.
Yeah.
The next 2 episodes.
Yeah.
We'll have, we both know him through different circumstances and different avenues. And Chris Newman, MCS CEO, owner, runs the joint Mission Critical Services. He's going to be on next week, Friday show.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one because he's our partner. They're really a true partner of ours in terms of service, providing services, and we work real closely with them. They do work for us on the Eastern Seaboard, so our accounts out there, they're taking care of them for us. And Chris is very integral. Guy is extremely knowledgeable. I bounce a lot of things off Chris, and he's been very helpful to us, not just to me personally, but to our company. And
Chris, you can answer this question because you know it.
Yeah.
Chris is the one that told me to what?
Call Gruber.
Call Gruber.
Yeah.
About almost 2 years ago, he's like, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" I said, "Just chilling at home."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Why don't you give Gruber a call?" I'm like, "I don't know." And then I talked to him again down the road a few days or a week or 2 later. "Hey, what are you doing?" Same thing as last week.
Yeah.
"Well, why don't you give Gruber a call?" And I'm like, "You know what? I think I will."
Yeah.
And he's a big part of that, but he's just a big part of the journey for me, for you, for the company. He's a unique, the real deal. To me, he's a true, transparent individual, and he's a very personable. Even though he's a partner of ours and he works with us very close, and a lot of people within our organization work with him directly. He is very personable. He'll take your call. He'll take your personal. I mean, how many times he's called me or texted me or emailed me saying, "Hey, I'm on a family vacation," or "I'm on a cruise ship, and I got a few minutes, and I just wanted to let you know you're not forgotten. We're working on your stuff." So to me, Chris is very genuine.
Yeah, the other thing too I really like about Chris is he is a Southerner.
Oh,
so we're going to have a Southern twang in terms of accent on our show next Friday. It's going to be cool. Chris is awesome. All right, and then after that, the next show, our last show in February, we're going to bring Grant back, and I consider Grant our number one supporter, one of the first people that signed up on YouTube and got us going. So
he's neck and neck with Highlander.
Yeah.
Those 2 guys are at the top.
Speaking of which, Elvis didn't mention, but we're over 18,000 now.
Yep, 18,000 subscribers, 18,003 subscribers on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I think, Jesse made that announcement right before the show. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very cool. Very, very.
So here we go again.
Ooh.
Here we go again with another vanilla, just totally vanilla post. This one right here, Instagram.
You think so?
Yeah, and erotic. That greetings from Poland. I know who that is. That's the vanilla guy.
You think so?
Okay, no pun intended, but I know exactly who that one is.
I read, if you break down the words, in Euro tickle.
Yeah, I know who that is. I'm gonna have a word with them after the show.
If you're from Poland and if you are not vanilla and if you are real,
I don't think those are L's. I think that's just 2 pipes with neurotic in between.
Oh, neurotic? That's weird. So then, yeah, it's probably not.
Okay.
Anyways, if you're from Poland, hey, you're my neighbor, dude. I'm from Romania.
Yeah.
So if you're from Poland, hey, neighbor.
Yes.
If you're not, you'll be fine.
Also for Instagram people, if you want to go to YouTube, you'll be able to see the green screen and the images.
Jump on the YouTube to see the backdrops, the images. And if you're real, thank you. If you're fake, have fun.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Exactly. All right. So our subject matter today is circuit breakers, and we're going to hit a little bit on wiring too, because obviously there's wires that go into the circuit breakers. So we couldn't talk about circuit breakers without at least hitting a couple things on wiring as well. So you can see in front of me here, I have four. These are 4 common types of circuit breakers. There's many more, but these are the ones that are common. So we wanted to focus on them, and there's 4 of them. And if I go from, I guess it would be, let's see, it would be their left, right? It would be their left. So that's an electronic circuit breaker. Just hold that thought for a second. The one next to it is a molded, is a molded case circuit breaker. And then this one right here is a miniature circuit breaker. I'm sure many of you have seen these in your homes.
Those are everywhere.
Yeah, in your panel box. And if you notice, there's a key inserted into this circuit breaker right here for bypass. And there's normally 2 more. I couldn't bring the whole panel. I just didn't. So I just took one of the breakers off, the one that had the key.
Can you see it for a second?
Sure.
We'll see if it's. Oh, okay. You're referring to this one.
Yeah.
I want to look at the other one, the little small one in the utility.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's this is a miniature circuit breaker.
That's the one. We'll see if it was 20 or 10 amp. There's 100. Okay. Because I want to see if they're usually between those 10, 20, 100 amps.
Yeah. So I'll help you with this. So I'm just going to throw a question out there to you. So remember the question that I asked last podcast? So what is the difference between a circuit breaker and a fuse? Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So wanted to kind of start there.
And what did I say last time? Or do I have to repeat myself?
Well, fuses are single use.
Mm-hmm.
When they go out, you have to actually replace the fuse.
Correct.
Where a circuit breaker is more, you're resetting the circuit breaker when it trips.
Correct.
After it trips, you're going to reset that. So it's not like a throwaway item unless it wears out. But fuses, if they blow, you have to replace them. And then you think about, the downtime that creates. Obviously, the downtime with a fuse might be longer if the field engineer doesn't have one out in his car. And in our business, that's highly likely that he doesn't, because we service so many different types of units. We don't service the APC PX and that's it. So you carry that parts kit in your car. We'd have parts coming out of the roof if we carried everything. So did you have something?
I have a question.
Sure.
Explain this quick. So, and I actually understand this, and that's why I'd like you to explain it too. I think it'd be good to kind of break down. Mm-hmm. So when there's something happening to a fuse and then happening to a circuit breaker, if there's a trip or electrical issue, and when it goes through the fuse, what happens to the fuse?
Well, if you let's talk about a clear fuse, because you can kind of see that. Well, there's a filament that runs through that fuse.
Yes.
So the filament severs. The connection is no longer there. So
it severs and it melts away from the current. So it takes away from it.
Well, there's an event that takes place inside of the fuse that darkens the appearance of the glass. So
exactly.
There's definitely an event that takes an electrical event.
And you can't stop that because it goes straight through it.
Yeah.
Because it's the fuse.
Yeah.
These, with the trip, will shut it down.
Yeah.
And it won't go through it.
Right, because it's not allowing it won't allow something that could potentially blow something up or create a heat event that cause a fire. It's going to shut it down. It's going to trip the circuit.
Exactly. And it'll go short circuit.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to kind of explain and go down a little bit of technical of. The fuse is metal. It can travel. And it'll still do its job, but it'll travel, and then it'll take away from the fuse where you have to replace it. Or in meantime, it can only take a certain amount of those instances.
Right.
Where these, with the shunt trip and with the technology of this, will just shut it down, and you pop it off, pop it back on again. Yeah. Where this will automatically go off. It'll literally
Well, it will
push
trip.
it. It'll trip. And that's what the word means, trip. It's just like when your lights go out in your house and you go to your box, that tripped it to off. And then you put it back to on.
You reset it.
You reset it. So that's the same sequence, and it's the same approach here to this. It's the same concept. So when we say trip, it means it pushes it back to off. So you're in a safe place. It's a good situation.
Well, I want to really focus in on these two breakers because one of them is an electronic. Okay, it's an electronic circuit breaker. The other one is what is called a molded case circuit breaker, an MCCB, and there's significant differences between the two. So if you start with the molded circuit breaker, it's more moving contacts inside of it, and there's an operating mechanism inside of that breaker. Where the electronic breaker, there's a microprocessor inside of it. There's sensors and control circuits. So they're completely different. All right. Can you find these inside? Do you find both types inside of a UPS? You absolutely do. The other thing is just the general operation differences between the two. This one right here, the molded case circuit breaker, is more on the mechanical side. Okay, in terms of its operation, where the electronic circuit breaker is more, it handles the overcurrent, and there's sensors that activate it versus mechanisms. Correct. That's a huge difference. The features with the circuit breaker, there's many more as compared to the molded case circuit breaker. There's earth fault protection. There's communication capabilities because of the electronics. They're adjustable in terms of their trip characteristics. That's a big deal too. And this breaker, the electronic breaker, is much more accurate. Okay. Yeah. So,
and are we going to talk about the 4 brands here?
I didn't look at the brands, but yeah, let's see what they are.
I already know what they are.
Hey, real quick too, just a question for you. You're going to get this one. Okay. Which one do you think costs more? The electronic or the molded? That's correct.
That bad boy.
Yeah. The electronic circuit breaker is much more expensive. So, yeah. All right. So brands. Square D. Let's see if I'm correct. These are typically Square D. What does that say on the side? Can you read that?
Yeah, this is more of a residential and commercial, just a Carling switch. So that's just the normal. There's nothing.
No brand.
Yeah, that is the brand Carling Switch Inc.
Okay.
This is more of a whatever, not a common one. Then the 4 that are the most common, which it looks like you have 2 or 3 of them here.
Yeah.
The one right here that I'm gonna pick up and hold with the key. This is Eaton. It's more of the popular one. Eaton is very known. Schneider has its own too.
ABB.
Yeah, but it's still called Schneider.
Okay.
Because they actually have one that says a Schneider Electric on it. ABB is the most common and the most popular, and probably the top one. And that's what these are.
Okay.
These are the ABB. I know them by their coloring and the red and white banner label. And ABB is the most common. Right under it, close second, is Square D. Third will be Schneider Electric, which is kind of still ABB family now, but at one point they weren't. And then Eaton. So those are the 4 most common brands, OEM manufacturers that you'll see and you'll come across, especially for UPS. So yeah, that's something that we see all the time. And I see these. I've sold a lot of them. I've sold a $5,000 circuit breaker to a $100 one, all types of ranges, and these big ones. Yeah, and these are very, very useful.
Yeah. So when you talk about materials, there's an assortment of materials that make up a circuit breaker. If you look at the body, that's typically steel and aluminum. The contacts are copper, silver. Of course, this is going to drive the cost of the breaker. When you start talking about silver alloys, and there's another mineral. I'll have to Google this and see what it actually looks like. Have you heard of tungsten before?
It's called tungsten.
Tungsten? Okay.
Yeah, I have rings from tungsten carbine. Yeah.
What color what color is the mineral? You know, is it dark? Dark
It's
mineral?
it looks like a silver.
Okay.
It looks like a silver. Tungsten carbide is a very common. And piercings. Yeah, I mean, I see now they have them all over the place for rings, and they're very affordable. That's why they're very durable, and it's a soft, comfortable metal. So yeah, I know tungsten carbide.
Okay. Cool. So that could be a contact in a circuit breaker.
Can be.
Yeah. Insulation is ceramic, glass, high grade plastics.
These are the high grade plastics.
Yeah.
And this cover case is different than this.
Yeah. So the housing and enclosure, which is what you just pointed out, that's typically molded plastics and metal.
Yes.
Okay. The trip unit itself is typically steel and aluminum. The terminals, you know, right here inside of here, they're typically copper and aluminum.
Yeah, that's where,
Okay.
and you know, you know what these are called? And when you look up a circuit breaker, this one has 3, that one has 4. There's actually, it's very specific. You can't just go say, I need this breaker. Well, when you gather information and say, well, what breaker do you need?
Yeah.
I like to ask them the part number, serial number. I like voltage and ampage is still really important. And then one of my questions in there is it a 2-pole, 3-pole, or 4-pole?
Right.
And what you're saying lines up with the terminals, the copper and aluminum. That's right here. And it's the poles, they go inside. Inside the UPS, there's the bars, the poles, and that's what goes inside. So there's a difference between a 3, there's a 4, and there's a 2.
Yeah.
So I always ask my customer, which pole do you need?
Yeah. And you're kind of like getting into the whole subject of sizing the breaker.
Yep.
Which is coupled with the wire size.
Correct.
So let's go ahead and go into that. There's actually 7 elements or 7 things that you ought to be looking for, asking questions about when you're sizing a breaker. The first one is the load calculation, and what type of load it is. So you're going to need to know what kind of power they're desiring, and then what type of load it is, because that will dictate the type of breaker that you put into the system. And then the application. You know, is it appliance? Is it industrial? You know, those types of things matter. The voltage rating is another question that you need to ask along with the current rating. And then the type of load, I mentioned that earlier, is a capacitive because it may have a scenario where there's an inrush current, an inherent inrush current, and you're going to need to accommodate that in terms of your size. And then this is one that really, really got me when it comes to breakers, is the ambient temperature. Were you aware of that could affect the functioning
Yes.
and type of breaker that you would put into?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm aware of that because of the metals inside and the plastic and everything. So the temperature is really important.
Yeah. And then the rating, which is another one, the altitude affects the performance of the breaker and what type of breaker you would put into the system. So I thought that was pretty interesting too. So those are like 7 considerations that you would ask your customer, you know, in terms of a site visit when you're there, about what type of circuit breaker we would need.
Let's get to some of our comments. Zlama Golska says hi from Instagram. Erotic says hello, smiley face. Instagram says, what is that pic? The pictures in the background. So I'll let me give you guys a summary on this. You're
gonna have to zoom in on that. You're gonna have to zoom in on some of those if you're gonna.
Yeah. Well, there's so many that since January, I think you started in January or December on this.
About December.
Okay. December, Claude started sending out these quotes to the group, to the company, and he started sending out these. And there's so many different types, and it's for motivation. It's to have the right mindset, to keep everyone, you know, together. And look, if one person sees it like this, that's cool. But if 5 people see it like this, 10 people, that's where you want to be.
Yeah, like the one down there on the right that I'm pointing at right now, where my hand is, Jesse. Yeah, zoom in on. Yeah, the one right behind me.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna have to turn you guys off for a second.
Okay.
One second.
Hide us. Camouflage.
And these these quotes are put out, and then another one I want to focus on is the one on the top of that one too. But these things here, these images and quotes, I like to use them because it gets people to think about what it is, what their purpose is in life, and what the heck they're here to do. Like, you hear people always say things, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to do them. Like if you look at the left, it says hungry to win. There's a whole lot of folks out there that are hungry to win, that want to win. But if you look at the other table, always help me out with that. Hungry
to do what winning requires.
Exactly.
That's the action.
Yeah. Hungry to do what winning requires is a whole nother ball game, and there's very few that are willing to take that step and do what it takes to win. So,
and in that picture, no one's lined up there.
Yeah. So, I like to use these things for motivation. I like to use these things to open people's eyes and, just push the team along and get them to think about things in a different light.
Is there another one you said you wanted to
Yeah, the
mention?
one up top there kind of like goes inside, goes with it. That's Mike Tomlin, head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. That one, it's not what you're capable of. It's what you are. It's what you are willing to do. I know plenty of people who are capable, but few who are willing. And the example I like to give here is, I know a tremendous amount of people, that graduated from college, went to school, but they're not doing anything with their education. So that's kind of like, yeah, you can get all the book knowledge, you can learn, but if you're not willing to apply it,
exactly,
how are you adding value to society? How are you adding value to anything that you're doing? So yeah, that's how we use that stuff. So back on the list here, YouTube, Phil McMillan, CB equals reset.
So he's saying a circuit breaker can reset, whereas a fuse can't. And one thing to this, to the quotes in the backdrop, in the background, so Claude's been sending them. I made a collage, and that's how this came to life, and we just said let's see if this will work as our thumbnail. So I just gathered a bunch of the ones he's been sending daily, weekly, monthly, and I made a collage, and I just thought it was a pretty cool thing just to see kind of how Gruber operates and what we do. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Phil McMillan says CB equals you can reset it. Instagram, Abdallah Mathbout. I don't know what they mean. So what are you doing now? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, you have to clarify that. It's an Instagram comment there.
Help us out because I don't know what that means. So what are you doing now? To Abdallah, the topic, IGBT transistors. If you're asking what our topic is.
Yeah, what we're doing on the show.
Today we're doing circuit breakers for us. So we're doing circuit breakers and we're going down them and we're breaking down circuit breakers. You like that, Jesse? And that's what we're talking about today. We're also going to do a very pretty energetic, did you know? Something a little bit different. Me and Claude are going to go after, and we're going to talk about it. But just if that's what that you were asking, Abdallah Mathbout, yeah, we're doing the circuit breakers today. You can go, it says chemistry.
Chemistry. Morning, guys.
Morning.
Got another YouTube comment from Phil. Did your heaters quit in your studio? Yes and no. I guess it depends on how thin your blood is. Okay? No, our heaters are working fine. I just decided to wear my hoodie and keep it on. So, Instagram, Ian Erotica.
Yeah.
Why does the output directly from the inverter not have a voltage of 230 volts? Have to get back with you on that one. YouTube, Christina French, 48 degrees outside right now, plus chilly winds, low of 36, high of 58.
That's why we're wearing the sweaters.
Okay. Instagram, Neurotica, what will happen if we turn on the UPS bypass in single operation without switching the static switch directly? We'll get back with you on that one. YouTube, Larson Imprem. Oh, wow, didn't know some breakers need a key to reset them. Yeah, some do. YouTube, Suns Fan for Life. For life. I think that's what that stands for. I like that Claude sends them out first thing in the morning, helps set the tone or mindset for the day. Yes. And then we have one more, I believe, down there at the bottom from Instagram, Reagan. What does that say? Reagan's 104?
Yeah. Please explain IGPT. Well, you were saying IGBT.
Yeah.
And I can't remember, but I think we did a episode.
Yeah, Google that one real quick just for the sake of
Sure.
the acronym. Because I always forget what the letters stand for. IGBT.
So I guess we're going to explain the insulated gate bipolar transistor. An insulated gate bipolar transistor is a 3-terminal power semiconductor device primarily forming an electronic switch. It's developed to combine high efficiency with fast switching. So that's what IGBT means, even though we're not talking about them today. To give you an idea, that's what it means.
Okay. So back on the wiring.
Yeah.
Real quick. Because that's important too, proper size wiring. You basically have, there's like a range of wire. You got 8, what is it called? 8 AWG, right? All the way through 18 AWG. AWG stands for American Wire Gauge. It's just a system of measurement used when you're talking about wire. So the higher the number, like if it's an 18 AWG, that's like a speaker wire. All of us are familiar with what a speaker wire is. An 8 AWG is a really thick wire that you would find running into one of these breakers, and it's typically used in our industry, more industrial, more large electrical systems use that type of wire, and then there's a whole range in between. The key thing here is undersizing and oversizing, right? If you undersize a wire, the events that could occur is high resistance and heat. There's been a few times when I've been out in the depot, and you can actually feel this with your hand. You can actually touch a wire, and you can feel that it's very warm. Don't want it to be hot, but if it's very, very, very warm, the potential for undersizing could be there. And then on the flip side, if the wire is oversized, first of all, it's costing you a lot more money because you have too much in your system. You know what I mean? It's just oversized. But the other thing is that you've heard of voltage drop?
Yep.
Yeah, because you have so much wire there. It's so thick, the voltage runs through it, and it sags, it drops, which
Correct.
of course affects other things in your system. So it's like very, very careful as you're sizing the breakers that you talk about the wiring too, and what it is exactly what you need. Okay, what else do we have here?
Is this the correct operation of switching the UPS to single operation review? Primary power only to test battery operation. He's asking stuff that I'm not even learning at all.
I'm not sure what the
Question is?
no, the back part of it, primary power only to test battery operation. I'm not sure. That's not ringing.
I don't know if that goes hand in hand with the breaker.
Is this the correct operation of switching the UPS to the single
operation review? No, the main operation of it is it's a switch. It's a breaker switch, and if something happens, it keeps it going, and you could power it back on. But if it goes out, that's an indicator of something's wrong with the UPS. And if it short circuits or some type of outside force, something happened to trip it. And that's your indicator. It's a switch to give you that indication of something's going on. So maybe putting it back on works, or maybe you have to look at something's wrong with the unit. Is it smell? Was there a fire? Was there an outage? Was there a lightning strike? Who knows? So this is something to protect you from that. And it also works, even though it doesn't have it, it's like a GFI. The GFI is same idea on a little outlet switch where the GFI is the button to turn it back on. This is the same thing with that. When you get a short. So this acts as something that large. So I'm not sure to all of that and switching. Now you're 100% right. Yeah. This 100% vanilla, this guy.
Yeah.
Switching the static switch to reverse voltage, connecting to the switch to bypass. A photo of the primary voltage, reserve voltage, battery voltage. Buddy, maybe you should come on the show and do all that because you know more than I do per your questions. I don't know half of these, and I'm not even. You got to teach me because some of this stuff is going over my head.
Okay. Well, let's talk about some of the common things that the field engineers might see. Okay, common circuit breaker malfunctions. Okay, frequent trips, overloaded circuitry or faulty breaker. Okay, that's one of the things the field engineers see. I got most of these from them. The breaker.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, the breaker won't reset. Have you ever done that before, where you reset it and it pops right back?
Yeah.
Okay, so the breaker won't reset. A mechanical or fault in the electrical system. Another one that I didn't know about that is a malfunction in a breaker is humming noise.
I know that.
Okay.
But so you're saying if it is short, you can't put it back on?
No, it pops back. Like at home, you in your panel, you switch the breaker, your lights go out, you turn it back and then it pops right back again.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced that? I have.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
That won't do that.
No, that's a malfunction in your breaker.
Ah.
Okay. So that's what we're talking about, common malfunctions.
Okay.
So, but back on the humming and buzzing noise, that could be loose connections, damaged components that would cause that to happen. Yeah.
Things like that.
And then, of course, age and wear. You look at something like this.
Vibrations.
Yeah. But, you think about age and wear. You look at something like this. I mean, it's this replacing a circuit breaker doesn't happen that often. I mean, I'm going through my inventory of what we replace out there and incidences that occur. You don't hear a lot about circuit breakers being replaced. So this is a long-term thing instead of in terms of age and wear, just based off in my opinion, just based off the environment that it might be in.
You know how many
Wear and
years?
tear. 18 to 20.
Doing your homework, 15 to 20.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
They last 15 to 20.
What else does that say? Is there in terms of the...
So modern circuit breakers have a life expectancy 15 to 20 years, while some circuit breakers can last longer. Arc fault and ground fault type breakers have a shorter 10 to 15. So the GFI that I was referencing, or those ones at home, they're usually 10 to 15. These bad boys are the ones that give 15 to 20. Mm-hmm. So referring to these. And then circuit breakers should be replaced every 15 to 20 years or as issues arise. So, yeah, we're living in that world. 15 to 20, so up to 2 decades, maybe time to switch out your circuit breakers.
Right.
And look, they're not pricey, and you can get new, you can get refurbished, used. They're not pricey, and new right now they're
well,
pretty
it depends
common.
on the size.
Yeah, I mean, okay,
and
yes.
And what application they're going in.
Correct,
they can
but
be
even
thousands of
those,
dollars.
it can be, but I mean, thousands of dollars for a $5,000 breaker. You're talking about a UPS that's probably over $100,000.
Yeah. So
they're pricey in the sense of you take it out and it's by itself, but when you have $100,000, $200,000 unit, you shouldn't be like, oh, that's pricey. I'm gonna give you an example. I've told my dad, I'm like, Dad, he bought built a $3 million house. He's like, man, this is gonna cost me a few $100. I said, yeah, you bought a $3 million house. The maintenance, the upkeep of the thousands should be understandable, part of the world in anything. Like if I buy a $5 thing, it's not going to cost me a lot to upkeep. But you're buying something that's thousands or $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 UPS. a $500, $2,000 part. It ain't the end of the world.
I agree with you, but the thing is with that, Ellis, is some customers are on a, they're on a shoestring budget, and especially if it's a billable scenario, you hit them with, oh, I need to replace this out. They're going to say, well, will it last the rest of the way if I don't? Because they're on a shoestring budget. You know what I
understand, but yeah. I'm still going to push back with the shoestring budget. If you have a $200,000-$300,000 UPS, well, I don't think you were on a shoestring budget when you bought that UPS.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I don't think that's we've talked about this in many of our previous shows of, are you going to do the right things and put $5,000 in something that'll last you 5-10 years, or just say, no, I'm just going to let it be like this, or I'm just going to onesies and twosies.
Well, it takes a really good salesperson, a really good person that's knowledgeable to be able to convince that customer.
Yeah.
Because some people are uncomfortable when the customer says, okay, that's it. They don't want to take it all the way to that, to that level, especially. But back on the machine, that $300,000 machine is a capital investment. Just keep that in mind.
Correct.
Where the stuff that goes on along the life of that machine is an expense. So that's an apples and orange financial thing there. Okay, hey, the other thing too, as far as common malfunctions, is moisture and corrosion. Have you ever seen a breaker that's corroded? I have. Here's how that happens. People forget to lock their, back on the resonance, people forget to lock their breaker cabinet. The thing swings open. We get monsoons here, right? And moisture gets inside of there, or you live in a climate of humidity. That can affect the performance of your breaker. Poor connections and increased resistance.
I've seen moisture, I've seen corrosion, I've seen broken ones, I've seen inflated, fat, swollen ones. Mm-hmm. I've seen all types. I've seen many types in different conditions. One with marks that are like burnt. I've seen the brown burnt marks. I've seen a few different conditions.
Have you ever installed anything wrong?
Have you ever installed what?
Anything incorrectly?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, could be another malfunction with a breaker, is if it's installed incorrectly. Mm-hmm. And you look at this device.
Ask my wife at home.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
right?
But that's my point.
Yeah, that's
my point. It could happen. It can happen anywhere. And a field engineer wouldn't tell you that unless it's happening.
True.
So these are all real life examples that I got.
That's amazing. Yeah, you went to the source. You went to the people that deal with this stuff all the time, and it's great to say.
Yeah.
Improper installation is scary.
Yeah, because I'm not out there doing the work, so you got to use the resources that you have. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's a big deal. Common malfunctions.
Did we talk about purpose of a UPS circuit breaker?
Yeah,
I don't know if we jumped over that. We did?
Yeah, I think we jumped over that. We did last time. Okay. But go ahead. Hit it again.
Because I don't think we discussed it in this one. So purposes for a UPS circuit breaker. Before we go into these, a few points, you want to...
go ahead and
let's hit the points. Mm-hmm. Let's hit the points. So serves as a protective device in an electrical system of a UPS unit. That's the first purpose. Second, serves to interrupt or disconnect the electrical circuit in case of an overload or fault condition for current. Overload protection helps prevent damage to electrical components tripping when the load exceeds the rated capacity of the UPS, mm-hmm. which we've talked about, the shunt trip, and it stops it. It trips, where we say trip means just goes off. Right. So it protects you. It shuts it off, which is a great feature to have. Short circuit protection, a low resistance, which you were talking about. The short circuit, the low resistance connection occurs. The circuit breaker will quickly interrupt the flow of a current to prevent damage, potential fires. So the short circuit is to prevent any fires. Mm-hmm. And then the other one is the fault protection. Protects against malfunction faults in the UPS. So how does that happen? Protects in that sense of fault. What do you know about that, Claude?
Well, I mean, it could be an inrush of current. Yeah. That you're not expecting, that goes through the line and it shuts it down.
Yeah. Manual disconnect allows manual disconnection of the power source for servicing or maintenance. So we do our service, our annual PMs. You can come in and just flip the switch, and that's it. And then you could shut it down, and then you could work on the UPS properly. Mm-hmm. Isolation provides this means from the power source when needed for facilitating maintenances and repairs. So you can use this for isolated. Right. And to target exactly where the issue is for the instances of repairs and the maintenance. Right. So that's great to have, to not where you're scratching your head and be like, I don't know where it happened. Yeah. So this helps you with that. And then expulsion, filled with Byrock acid to expel an arc.
Yeah,
give me that. Work on this one a little bit.
That's the piece that's really interesting, because some breakers are designed for events where if an event occurs, what word did you use? Expulsion?
Expulsion.
Yes. It basically extinguishes what the event is inside of the device. Okay, so it doesn't spread. So there's like no collateral damage on other components. Make sense to you?
Yeah,
it
so
puts it out. Yeah,
like a fire.
it's like fire. Well, it's like fire.
extinguisher.
It's like what we were doing last week with the clothing.
Yes.
Okay, where it extinguishes.
Yes.
Right
yes.
there,
yes.
right there on the spot, it extinguishes
awesome.
it. Versus collateral damage inside of the equipment because it exploded or something like that.
So it acts like a fire extinguisher, so to speak, on the expulsion. It just cools it down, shuts it down. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Hey,
I did not know that.
Yeah, real quick. Did you say earlier that we were going to talk about AI? You had some AI did you knows?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go to that.
You want to go to
Yes,
that?
I want to go to that.
Let's go hard.
Yeah.
And we have time.
Because we have an AI podcast, correct?
Yes, we do.
And what day does that take place?
I want to say, Jesse, you were around to correct me if you guys do the AI podcast on Wednesdays.
Wednesdays, 10
See,
a.m., yeah.
I do pay attention once in a while. Just saying. So it is the AI podcast.
Okay.
So I looked up and I went to Google, our friend Google, which is Google AI, Jesse?
Yes. Yeah, it's
It
a
is.
smart algorithm.
Okay. So thanks, Google. So if people say, I don't care about AI. Yeah, but we actually use it probably more than.
Yeah, AIs have run all of our social media and search engines for about 15 years.
So
plus.
it's a pretty general term.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I went to AI to find out more about AI.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go to the source, go to the mothership. And what it said, I said, hey, what are some interesting facts about AI in 2023 and prior to 2023?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of what's the word? What's going on here? Because I know you're obsessed with AI, right?
Not at all. But anyway, not impressed with AI.
Oh, I mean, I meant Jesse.
Anything artificial.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Wait, man, you don't like those artificial flavors on your Doritos?
I like real things.
Okay.
God made things. Okay?
Oh, dang.
So to be specific.
There
but
we
anyway,
go.
Anyway.
You know, it's funny while we're talking about this. I don't know if I'm allowed to take my glasses off, but Cass's eyes are like, oh my God, what are these guys doing? What rabbit hole are they going to go into?
Here's a fun fact, a fun tidbit about Cass.
Ooh.
Terrified of AI, terrified of robots, and anything related.
You've been watching too many movies.
No, I just have always been that way.
Really?
I've had.
Why?
So I have a story from my birth mom.
Can we can listen to this one, right?
It's quick. I promise.
It sounds like you're pandering to Claude because he's not a fan of AI either.
not a fan.
So 2 versus 2 over here. We're gonna have a duel. Me and Jesse.
Let me clarify it. I'm not a fan, but I will use it.
Of course.
Okay, I will.
Oh yeah,
use
I will.
ChatGPT?
I will too.
it. Yeah.
Go
I
ahead,
don't
Cass.
like using it,
Yeah,
but I'll
right.
use it. So when I was a little infant baby, my birth mom's friend had got me one of those like robotic rocking horses back in the 90s. Have you seen those before? There's like a rocking horse, but it's like animatronic and it would neigh and rock back and
Yeah,
forth on its
I
own.
think I've seen one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got one of those. Hated it. Cried immediately as soon as it was turned on.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I don't even like vacuum. Like
Every
I'll
time you see
vacuum.
an
Like I have
AI,
to use the
you see
vacuum
the horse.
myself, but I don't like other people vacuuming.
So you don't have a Roomba.
No, I hate the Roomba. My roommate has a
That'll
Roomba.
trigger.
Hate it.
That'll-
My parents bought a Roomba. They named it Wally. Don't like it.
Yeah. So you don't like Wally the Roomba. So 35% of companies are currently using AI. 35% of companies worldwide.
Okay. So we just said that the internet basically is AI,
Yeah, everybody
right?
uses AI.
So pretty much 100%
Just
of
the
AI
new-
is being used. So Jesse, help us out here. So the 35%, what do you think that's referencing?
That's referencing generative AI, like the new AI, like ChatGPT
Yep.
or Google's Bard, which is now renamed Gemini, or the Copilot, which helps with writing code. There's generative AI that's a new large language based AI that's come out over the last 3 to 4 years. That's the AI that people associate with AI now. But AI really is just advanced automated algorithms. Anything with automation that does stuff on its own is artificial
Correct.
intelligence.
And I'm referring to the first explanation he's talking about with the last 3-4 years of advancements.
Okay.
But even to that, even though the last 3-4 years, the main forefront AIs has always been Google, Siri, Alexa. They've been the main prominent ones that help us in all of that. And that's still, I connected to the AI he's talking about now for the last 3-4 years, because they've used those algorithms to piggyback and to evolve to ChatGPT. And that's what we're talking about. The current AI softwares that they're coming up with, that Elon's coming up with AI and all of that. And it's also 42% of companies are exploring that.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get into what types. 91% of leading businesses are investing in ongoing basis programs for AI, which is a CRM. If it's automation, it's the newer type of AI. Gartner also tells us that customer satisfaction this last year in 2023 has gone up 25% because of the new implementations of AI. So people have been more satisfied, and 25% increase because of AI software with Google Voices, with the AI voicing, all this type. IT analysts, firms, this Infotech search group, they also say that. So here's some of them that we're talking about. This is kind of what's taken over companies. Automate processes, customer service and personalization, increase output, and analyzing data. So they're not using the person anymore. They're not using the analysts as much as they're using the AI softwares to get that information.
Yeah, to extract it and then analyze it. And,
Correct.
Yeah.
And then there's a smaller margin of error because you got a robot telling you what you did wrong, and Cass is just like this.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way it's going. I mean, you can't stop it from going that way in terms of what you're talking about, the automation part of it.
Yeah.
There's going to be, you just think, okay, so what are people ready for? You know what I mean? In terms of their trades, if you have artificial intelligence taking over, like you said, automation, those are jobs. Let's just get straightforward. Everything you mentioned is a job.
Hands down.
Okay. It was a job. There was a human being doing it.
Yep.
Now you have AI doing it for you. So what is the default for those people? That's what do people have to do different?
Maybe go to a Starbucks,
but
and find a job there. No, I understand what you're saying.
Employable.
No, I know it's a tough thing
You got to
because
become a prompt engineer.
you got to become something in the IT technology world, because the truth of the matter is, like you said, it used to be a person behind it. If it was call centers, if it was messages for, hey, you forgot to pay your bill. No, everything's automated now.
Manufacturing
Like operators.
Operators.
Yeah.
When
All
they
of
had
that's-
to actually switch before,
Yep.
and now we don't have operators anymore.
We have, look, in all of our convenience of when you're behind on a payment or your next payment's coming up.
Here's the
or
other
that,
thing.
it's AI.
Here's the other thing, Elvis, is really, I won't call it scary. It's just a wake-up call. When you can have an intelligence write a memo or write a paper or write a document or an email to perfection, where it would take a human being hours to come up with the exact same thing, that is a wake-up call for human beings.
It is.
Okay. So,
it is.
yeah.
Because look, now we have phones, we have laptops and computers and voice activation where I could talk like this and it could write everything down for me.
Yeah, or correct what it is you're
Or
saying.
correct or grammar. I mean, look, Word document has been doing that for years for us.
Yeah.
When I spell a word wrong. Now it's getting to where it's very convenient when you're driving and you say, "Hey Google."
Yeah,
and
but,
then
but Word document doesn't call you stupid.
no.
Okay, this thing will. I'm telling you, this thing is going to gravitate to the point to where it calls you stupid. Okay, how come you didn't know
And then
that?
I'm arguing with the computer like, "No, you stupid."
Yeah.
And then we're going back
You
and
got a
forth.
high school education, you have a college degree, you
Yeah.
did this, did that, and this is how you write. You know,
Correct.
this is a machine telling
Yeah.
you this, okay?
Let's go to these. We don't fall back. Instagram. Rose Vanette says, going back to cost, the bottom line is how valuable is your critical load? Great answer. Claude has said that on many of the shows. That's very true. HK Tech Prof says, hello. Well, hello to you, good sir. Or Structure says, it is not margin of error. Do a candle is the same as a flashlight. AI is not human. I mean, you can't really say a candle is the same as a flashlight. I would disagree with that. I know. No.
Well, you're kind of right. I mean, it's not the same as a
It's
flashlight.
not. I mean, look.
But that wasn't the point he was trying to make.
I understand, but it's like, Claude,
Yeah.
a candle will burn down your house.
Yeah.
My flashlight will not.
Depends on your flashlight. Depends on
I
how
knew you were gonna
many
say that.
lumens.
Listen, I get it. Hey, and I get it because remember our last crazy big hike? Remember that crazy chargeable flashlight I got?
Yeah.
And it looked like a lightsaber because when
Yeah,
I turned
yeah.
that sucker on.
No.
But that's an anomaly. That's the exception to drop $500 on a.
But whoever that
stupid
is up there, Instagram, on Instagram, I get your point. I know, and we get your point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then YouTube, Christina French, that's automation. She's right. That's what it is. But
It is.
what else do you have on it? You told me you had other thing.
I got another. So right
Yeah.
now, 97% of mobile users are using AI-powered voice assistants. The 3%, Leslie is probably part of the 3% because she has a flip phone. So she's probably the older people that have the little bar phones. But 97% of mobile, we do it. I do it all the time. I see myself going like this and looking for the bleep bleep. And now they constantly update.
Well, you're going to be shocked
Why?
because you're sitting next to a person that has never used it.
Uh-oh.
Okay, and
I
I have,
hate using it.
I
I'll
have,
use it,
I
but I
have the
hate using
up-to-date
it.
phone. That everything I've never used it.
But said the guy that's been using ChatGPT.
Yeah. Well,
So
yeah, I'm
it's like-
using that.
Yeah, you pick and choose. I want the flashlight, not the candle.
You can put that on your phone now. You can talk to ChatGPT on your phone.
Yep.
Wow.
I showed him the one too that WhatsApp's using. WhatsApp is using. They just made and look how accessible. Check this out, Claude. So look, I'm gonna go to my phone, if I can figure out my own password, and I go to WhatsApp, and right here there's a little button, and you have it too now. You see that? Mm-hmm. That's AI. Look what it says. You want me to read it? Yeah. My name is Meta AI. Think of me like an assistant who's here to help you learn, plan, and connect. What can I help you with today, Cass?
Hate it. I hate it.
You know
I
what?
will
That's
use
what they're
Siri,
doing.
but I don't like using Siri. And
That's
I
what we're
use my
getting at.
manners when I use Siri because the robots are going to take over the world.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not going to tell you what I said when I was on my phone, and exactly what you just said came on. Okay?
Yeah.
This creepy guy came on and said exactly what you just read. I'm not going to tell you what my response was because I would get in trouble. Okay, I'm not going to tell you what I said
for
to that
another
guy.
show.
Yeah. for another
But
show.
look, there's more than 4 billion devices that already work with AI-powered voice assistants. 40% of people. So you and Cass are the 60%, but 40% of these the people over for 4 billion devices. Cass, do me a favor. Find out what 40% of 4 billion is that are using the voice assistants. That's going to be in the millions and 100 millions, maybe billions too, at that point, that are using that.
1.6 billion.
How much? You said 6? So there's 63% of companies surveyed plan to increase or maintain AI and machine learning spending. So here's the other thing. It's business is booming. Money, money, money. Cass, what do you got?
1.6 billion?
Yep. 1.6 billion people use the voice to say, hey, Google, or blah, blah, blah. And they just jump on it and boom, boom, boom. Or they use the voice text and say, hey, honey, I'm going to go get groceries. Tell me what you need. All that stuff. And it's just taken over. And when asked to cite the top 3 drivers behind the budget changes leading to factors including business strategy, cloud migration, and modernization, the entertainment group, Netflix, is big on this. So check this out. The entertainment giant Netflix is also known for using learning and AR software in content recommendations, which the company reports since they've been using AI, they've saved over $1 billion. So what do you do, Claude, at a certain point when someone comes and says to you, hey, if you use AI for your budgeting and your bills and this, you're going to save $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year. Are you going to say yay or nay?
I'm gonna say yes. If there's a dollar, but even so,
Because hey, 2 years of that, you get your Wrangler.
No, I understand, but check it out. Even so, there's still people out there that won't invest.
I get it.
You know what I mean? There's those people.
So check this one out. O'Reilly did one of the reports and broke down the usage of AI by industries. Which industry uses it the most and what percentage they're using it right now in 2023. So the technology sector, the technology industry is using it the most at 17%. And this, again, it goes across the board with all types of AI, even the smartphone, the tablets. That's all different types.
So you're talking about basically the pieces of AI that you hit on.
Yeah.
Okay, when you're talking about these percentages.
Yeah, the percentages right now is the technology in a company. Where they're using AI assistance, automation, budgeting, financing, getting all these alerts, saving more money, protection. All of that is becoming more and more AI prevalent, is the word? Yes. Thanks, Jesse. He's my AI guy. He goes, yep. So that's, and look, he answers so fast. That's the other upside to AI, the quick response.
So those pieces right there that you just mentioned was workforce reduction and any of that, or are you going to get to it?
I didn't go to the workforce reduction, but that doesn't mean workforce reduction.
No.
You want to know something that's also done workforce reduction? The telecommute. Because of all the AI software, there's empty buildings and offices with no one in it. I saw a documentary on this because of the whole COVID thing, and they figured out a way where even people in the medical field, and since I started talking about this, Cass hasn't blinked because it's like scaring the bajonkers out of her. Like, they figured out how to use technology more now, convenience, where they can do stuff online. They can have all their cake and eat it too at home in your shorts and with just a suit from your hips up. Where people now can do all of that because AI is serving the companies. And I've seen crazy documentaries where empty offices. Right when I worked at this one company, and it was a virtual office. And when we opened it up, I had a snapshot of all of our cubicles. And we were all working from home. And this was during, working from
But
home.
it looked like you were inside your cubicles?
Yeah. And when you open your laptop, it said you're at work, which I was in shorts and a tee. But all the convenience of that, of people working from home, don't have to drive. They can work from home and they don't have to take their kids to daycare. They can work from home and still take care of the house. There was so much convenience, and that's where AI exploded to where they can do all that. I mean, I know people that have their entire life on a laptop and a computer, a phone, and it gives them their schedules and reminders and say, Google or Alexa, in 2 hours, remind me to start the pizza. All that stuff, all the time. And my Alexa, we put it on mute and it still data mines and it still takes data and all that stuff. So they're constantly like, me and you talking about this watch in a few minutes on our phone, on Facebook, we're going to have an ad saying, why don't you buy the new AI software? Stuff like that. That's what they do. Financial services, 15% up in AI financial services. Healthcare, 9%. Now they're using these AI software in the last 3-4 years that Jesse's been talking about. And 2023, that's how much they've went up.
Yeah, I would
9%.
imagine all these numbers are 2023.
Yep.
They're all much, much higher now.
Way much higher.
In 2024.
This is a 1 year. We didn't talk about what it is total right now, but in a 1 year time frame. And then healthcare is 9%. Education, 8%. I'm going to tell you something. When my kid did e-learning, my smart kid, he got dumber. He did. He got lazier. He got more complacent. Government, public sector, 6%. Telecom, 5%.
Now that
in 1 year.
Now the government. The government is a place where it absolutely should be used for a headcount reduction, especially after what I saw last night on TV. Unbelievable.
You're not wrong. No. I'd rather have robots than some of these.
Exactly.
Than some of these politicians.
Did you see that last night?
Even said, yeah, that
Did you see that
right.
last night? That disgusting press conference our president gave. I mean, just unbelievable.
I didn't see it.
Incompetence.
I'm curious to see the one with Tucker Carlson and Vladimir Putin that he was talking about.
I need to see
but
that.
I didn't see the press conference with Biden.
Yeah, he popped on. You know why he popped on? He popped on because his own administration said that he's incompetent because of what he did with these classified because of how he handled those classified documents. It basically said, "Hey, the guy's too old to remember what he did."
Of course,
he couldn't even remember when he was vice president. I mean, this is the guy that's running our country right now, or is at least the puppet that's in front. Somebody else is running our country right now.
But listen, when I see Biden, here's what I want to do. I want to give him some vanilla pudding, give him a blanket, say go to sleep, sweetheart.
Yeah,
because he's an old dude in an assisted living place that got to escape out, and he got people around him. Yeah. So bless his heart. Whatever. He's wild. He's nuts. Yeah, but it's just even in the government. And the public sector, manufacturing 4% up, retail 4%, media 3%, energy 3% up, defense and security 3%, and everything else that it falls under 22% up, and all the other places, retail, whatever it is, and all the other places I might have not mentioned is 22% in 1 year.
So it's a reality.
It's a reality. Mm-hmm. If you want to know what that looks like, just watch all the Terminator movies.
Oh yeah,
watch all those. Watch the one where remember they had the Genesis one where they were releasing this software worldwide, and all of a sudden,
well, even before that one, The Rise of the Machines is a really good one.
Arnold knew what he was talking about.
That was a classic.
Yeah,
Rise of the Machines. Yeah, and you know what they did? They went back to the Adam and Eve approach. They got those two people in the bunker and says, "You guys got to repopulate the world."
But you know what? You know who I was in that movie? You know where I was in that movie? I was one of the people. No, I was one of the people in the cave that knew it was coming and stored up everything. I'm part of the resistance.
Gas
baby.
is like, take me with you.
I'm part of the resistance, baby. I'm the resistance.
You're the resistance.
Absolutely.
Chemistry says, "Wow, Elvis, good job." And girl, me too. You go, girl. So that was it on the Did You Knows. We're going AI hard today. And that's some of the stuff. I guess it was more like a scare show for Cass. I didn't mean to spook you so much. Yeah. Your ears like bricked up and got scared.
Terrified.
You know what? I kind of think the more you get it out there and just be upfront and straightforward about what it really is and what it's going to do, especially in terms of workforce.
Yeah.
I think the sooner you do that, the better off you are versus like hiding it. Because, eventually it's going to happen.
Yeah. You know what's my biggest problem with AI?
What's that?
And it's not only AI, anything that is used like this and what it can do and it has the potential. It takes the control away from us and it makes us dependent on something. And when we become so dependent on something, we're helpless and useless. And my thing is like, even with vehicles, we'll walk, and who wants to walk or not, but like the dependence of the whole crazy thing in Chicago, all those Teslas, because they had a certain way to charge the cars, were all useless when the freeze took over. So my point is, anything in life, when we become so dependent on it, they take they have that to use against us.
So hold on.
In a bargaining chip.
So do you like being warm? Like when it's cold outside, do you like having your house heated? Or do you consider yourself dependent on fire?
Well, I can get candles at this point, per what that guy said.
Right, but my point is, we've had
I know what
every
you're- I
piece
know
of
your point
technology
is.
ever has
We're
improved our
dependent.
lives.
I understand that. I know electrical water. We're dependent on it. But I'll tell you this much: you can still live a certain way with electric and water, not become dependent if you live on certain. There's still options there. There's other things that are becoming so required and needed that you're just doomed.
Well, see, it's not the base. See, you guys are talking about basic needs. See, I look at it differently.
Go ahead.
A couple of my best mentors have told me this along the way. If you don't use something, you lose it. Okay? So if you're allowing a machine to do your thinking for you I'm not saying use it for here, use it for there, on an intermittent basis, but if you're allowing a machine to do your thinking for you, every movement that you make in life, just because it's new technology and you think that that is good, all you're going to be 100 years from now is just a brain sitting on the desk. Okay?
I agree with
That's
you.
it. That's
But
what
here's
you're
the
going to be.
problem
There's a
with
Star
that.
Trek episode on that too,
But
by
it's
the way.
not that simple anymore. I totally agree with you on that term. The problem with that is they're making things that we do need, that we need to survive, a requirement, and they're making it to where now they're implementing these things that you have to use it to have access to it. That's the whole point, is that now they're starting to, and it is convenience. Everyone wants to do something at one thing. If I can pay my bills, watch a movie, and make $1,000 in one day by the click of a button, everyone would want to do that.
I have no social skills.
And
doing
have
it.
nothing. So that access to it is what's taking away that whole thing of if you don't use it, you'll lose it.
Mm-hmm.
It's starting to take that away, and that's, in my opinion, it's starting to disintegrate. That's an old reality, an old term.
Mm-hmm.
But to Jesse's point is, yes, we do need everything, or to a certain extent, but some of it's becoming more reliant, and we need it
But you
more
know
than
what?
other things.
We weren't put on this earth to become obsolete.
Nope.
Okay? We weren't. We were put on this earth because each one of us has a purpose. Now, shame on you if you don't know what your purpose is.
Yeah.
Shame on you. Okay,
Okay.
but that's the reason why we were put on the earth. We weren't put on the earth to become obsolete.
I agree.
Because of some technology.
No, see, that's why we got to merge with it. Our
Yeah.
purpose is to merge with it.
Well, okay, yeah. See, but that's where Jesse stands, where I get his point and the convenience and the merging of it, because it makes things better and
But
easier.
you're never, Jesse,
Yeah.
you're never going to stop thinking, though, right?
No.
You.
No.
You're never going to stop thinking.
I'm of the opinion that consciousness is something that can be malleable, and we'll eventually just, our conscious won't have to be tied to this body. We'll just be a part of it.
That scares me.
That's what I want.
That's what you want. I don't want that. So don't you dare want it from me. I totally get that's what you want. Buddy, you can be on your own island.
You can do whatever you want. Yeah, exactly. You can
I'm
stay in
going to
there.
his cave at Vulture's Peak, and Cass is
Upsetting.
coming along.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Cass has been cringing like
This entire
50
time.
minutes of the 1 hour, but she's like, all these faces.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm so.
You guys got to come to the AI podcast more. We go down some rabbit holes on all this.
Let's
stuff.
go.
Yeah.
You know, we
I
don't,
keep
we don't
telling
shy
Pete
away
to
from
have
a
me
fight.
on.
Yeah.
He's got his fighting shirt
Well,
on
no.
too. You won't
You know,
box all day.
but you know
spar.
what? I haven't even come with what I can come with, because I'm a Bible believer
All day.
So a lot of these
Preach
things,
it, brother.
so a lot of these things that are transpiring.
Yeah.
If you have any type of spiritual,
Oh, so you're like Jesse, you're a Bible guy.
No, hold on. If you have any type of spiritual discernment, okay,
All day.
you can
Preach it.
put these pieces together. So
Oh, yeah.
so none of this is a surprise for
To
me.
me, it's not.
None of it
I will
is.
say this, and I'm gonna close with this, because for Jesse, he's like, I read the Bible a lot.
You don't wanna
And
talk
there
for
are
another hour?
terms, yeah, and you guys don't want to hear me for another hour. A lot of the things that I'm not so scared or afraid of, or why is this, why is that, because I've read it in the Bible to a certain extent, and it's touched on bases like this with end of times, but more detail, not just the blanket statement of these things will happen, things will come up, things. So for me too, I'm not afraid. I see it happening, and it's great to see that a book that was written thousands of years ago, I see resemblances in what's happening in our current times. So it doesn't freak me out, because I read it in a book, and I read it in a powerful book for me, to where it's not like, oh my gosh, scaring
Yeah.
the bejesus out of me. So for me, it's not that scary, because I'm expecting the world, and I believe this. I'm sorry to say, but I'm going to go down this rabbit hole now. I believe this. We all have expiration dates. this world is depleting. It's a world that every day is older than the next day. And that goes to Jesse's point of global warming, all this. However you want to coin that phrase, I see the world constantly because that's the way it was made to deteriorate and whatever those years are. So I understand that I have an expiration date. So for me, I want to make sure that who made me, I go back to the manufacturer and I go back to the creator.
To the OEM.
And the OEM. Let's go. And I'll be made brand new because right now I'm refurbished.
Yeah.
And I will be made brand new. So I understand that, at least for me personally. And I know that I can go into conversations with Jesse because I love debating him. And I love talking to him because we challenge each other. And even sometimes when he asks me a question, I'm like, well, I don't like just part of that question because there's more to the story. So I love this stuff. And you're a God-fearing man. You know what's up. So you're not rattled by this.
No. So
It'll be okay,
Let's
Cass.
wrap it
I
up.
promise.
Let's wrap it up, Elvis.
So yeah, let us wrap it up with a smooth sea never made a skilled sailor. Great term, great quote. And we're jumping, we're flying on YouTube with 18,000 subscribers. Like, subscribe there on our YouTube channel, on our TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitter X. We have all those platforms, and we're 3 big departments here. We're the Gruber Communications, we're the Gruber Motors, and we're the Gruber Power Services. And you can find all 3 on those platforms, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok. So please jump on, like, subscribe, find us on LinkedIn, find us on all the platforms that are available, and we appreciate all the interaction and all of our supporters.
Yeah,
have a great day.
Stay tuned to next week because we have, like I said, our special guest Chris Newman coming on the show.
Back to back, we have
Stay tuned
guests.
for that. All right.
Have a good one.
Take care.